I didn't believe the warnings because none of them described what actually happens. East of them, they said the apartment was quiet. They said the last tenant died suddenly. They said not to sleep facing the door. That part sounded stupid, so I ignored it. The first night, nothing happened. The second night, I woke up to the sound of bones clicking, not cracking, clicking, slow, wet, deliberate, like someone testing how far a joint can turn before it fails. I was on my back, staring at the ceiling, unable to move. My neck felt warm, like hands had been there moments ago. I told myself it was sleep paralysis, until the mattress dipped beside my head. The air got heavier, cold but dense, pressing down on my chest. I couldn't see anything, but I felt a presence lean close to my face, close enough that I smelled rot and old dust. Then the pressure shifted. My head started to turn on its own. Not fast, not violent, just steady, unstoppable rotation to the right. My muscles screamed to resist. They didn't respond. Something inside my neck popped softly. That's when I understood the stories weren't metaphors. This thing doesn't chase. It doesn't scream. It doesn't drag you away. It waits until you're still, and then it finishes the job. I didn't die that night. The thing stopped turning my head just short of the point where everything would have gone dark. It paused, like it was listening to something only it could hear. Then the pressure vanished. I gasped and rolled onto my side, coughing, fingers clawing at my own throat. My neck burned deep inside, not like a strain, like something had been partially undone and shoved back into place wrong. I didn't sleep after that. Morning came, and with it, the lie that I could still explain this away. I went to work, wearing a scarf, even though it was warm. Every time I turned my head, there was resistance, a soft, internal grinding that made my stomach flip. That night, I tried to stay awake. Lights on, TV playing, coffee shaking in my hands. At 2:11 a.m., the TV cut to static. The clicking started immediately. This time it came from the corner of the room. Slow, patient, like fingers flexing. I saw it then, not fully, not clearly, but enough. A human shape standing wrong, head tilted too far to one side, neck stretched and twisted, like it had never been set properly. It took one step toward me. My body locked up again. The mattress dipped, and I realized something worse than death. It hadn't finished with me before. It had only been checking how much my neck could still take. I don't remember falling asleep. 1 second I was sitting upright on the bed, back against the wall, forcing my eyes to stay open. The next, my chin was touching my chest. That's when the pain hit. A sharp, tearing pressure deep in my neck, like something was being twisted the wrong way from the inside. I tried to lift my head and couldn't. My muscles locked hard enough to tremble. The clicking was right behind my ear now. I felt fingers, too long, too cold, slide under my jaw. They weren't gripping. They were positioning, adjusting angles, testing leverage. My head started to turn again, faster this time. I felt something tear, a wet snap followed by a flood of heat down my spine. My vision pulsed, white and black. I screamed, but it came out as a choking wheeze. The thing leaned close enough that I felt its weight on my shoulder. And it whispered, not words, instructions. My neck turned past where it should have stopped. Then it released me. I collapsed sideways onto the bed, sobbing, neck hanging at a wrong angle. I could still breathe, still see, but every movement sent lightning through my body. In the mirror across the room, I saw it standing behind me. Head bent, completely backward, watching, waiting, like it knew the next turn would be the last one. I went to the hospital at sunrise. They didn't believe me, not really. They did scans, x-rays, tests that involved cold tables and bored voices. The doctor said my neck was severely strained and asked if I'd been in a car accident. I said no. He asked if I'd fallen. I said no again. He prescribed a brace, a neck brace. The irony almost made me laugh. By nightfall, I was back at the apartment, immobilized, trapped inside plastic and Velcro. I couldn't turn my head more than a few degrees. I thought that would save me. I was wrong. At 1:03 a.m., the clicking returned, louder than before, angry, impatient. The brace tightened on its own, not squeezing my throat, locking my head in place. I felt weight behind me, hands sliding over the brace, pressing, testing. The ghost didn't need my muscles anymore. It had learned new leverage. The bed dipped hard. Something hooked under the back of the brace and pulled. Pain exploded down my spine as my head was forced forward, then sideways, the plastic creaking like it was about to snap. I felt my vertebrae shift again, not break, yet. The thing leaned close, its breath cold against my ear, and for the first time I understood the pattern. It doesn't kill quickly. It reshapes you first, so the final break is easy. I tried to leave. That was my last mistake. I packed one-handed, neck locked in the brace, every movement sending sparks down my arms. I didn't wait for daylight. I didn't turn the lights off. I just wanted distance between me and that room. The moment I grabbed the door handle, the clicking started inside my own neck, not from the room, from me. Each tiny movement of my body triggered a delayed echo, bone answering bone, joints remembering what had been done to them. My vision blurred as pressure built at the base of my skull. The door wouldn't open, not locked, not stuck. It simply refused to move. I felt hands settle on my shoulders from behind. Heavy, certain. The brace tightened again, squeezing my jaw upward, forcing my head into a position I knew too well. The ghost didn't rush this time. It slowly lifted my chin. I felt something slide out of place. A deep internal shift, followed by numbness spreading down my left side. My arm went useless, dangling like it didn't belong to me anymore. The clicking stopped. I was turned toward the dark hallway, and I understood. It wasn't keeping me trapped in the apartment. It was teaching my body how to fail, because soon I wouldn't need it to finish the turn. By the sixth night, I stopped fighting it. My neck no longer felt like part of me. It was a hinge. Loose, unreliable. Every time I swallowed, something inside shifted with a dull, hollow knock. I slept sitting up, strapped into the brace, chin forced high. I thought if I stayed conscious enough, it wouldn't come. I was wrong again. The clicking didn't wake me this time. The absence of it did. I opened my eyes and knew immediately it was standing in front of me. I couldn't see it, but my body reacted first. My spine tightening, my jaw locking, my heart stuttering like it wanted out. Hands slid under the brace and lifted. Gently, almost carefully. My head tilted farther than it should have been able to. No sharp pain anymore. Just pressure. Resistance giving way. Something inside my neck stretching thin like old rope. I felt my right leg go numb. Then, my left. The ghost leaned close, close enough that I felt my own breath bounce back at me, distorted. And for the first time, It didn't let go. I felt my head begin to turn on its own. Not forced, not guided. My muscles obeyed without being touched. That's when I understood the final part. It doesn't kill you by breaking your neck. It kills you by teaching your body how to do it for you. I first heard about the child from the fishermen. They said if you're out on the lake after sunset and the water goes completely still, no ripples, no insects, no wind, you should leave immediately. Not paddle, not swim, leave. Because the child doesn't like movement once he's chosen you. I didn't believe them. I was 34, sober for 6 months, trying to prove to myself I could handle quiet places again. The lake was empty that evening, flat as black glass. I waded in up to my knees to cool off. That's when I heard crying. It didn't come from the shore. It came from behind me, from the water. A small voice, gurgling between sobs, calling Dad over and over. I turned too fast and lost my footing. When I steadied myself, I saw him about 10 feet out. A boy, maybe 6 years old, standing upright where the water was deep. His clothes were soaked and clung to him like weeds. His face was pale and swollen, eyes glassy and unfocused. He didn't wave. He didn't swim. He just stared at me and took a step closer. The water around my legs suddenly felt heavier, like something had wrapped around my ankles. The boy opened his mouth wider than a child should, and the crying stopped. Then the lake started pulling me toward him. I tried to pull my legs free, but the water wasn't just water anymore. It pressed in from every direction, thick and deliberate, like hands stacked over hands. I fell forward, splashing, and that was the mistake. The lake rushed into my mouth, cold and metallic, and the bottom dropped away under my feet. The boy moved fast once I was off balance, not swimming, gliding. His arms hung limp at his sides while his head stayed perfectly above the surface. His eyes never left mine. I went under. Something caught my wrist and yanked me down harder. The pain was sharp, like my joints were being pulled apart. I kicked blindly and felt weeds tear loose, but whatever had me didn't let go. When I opened my eyes underwater, I saw his face inches from mine. Skin split at the lips, water pouring in and out of his mouth as if he were breathing it. His small hand slid up my arm to my chest and pressed there. The pressure wasn't physical. It was heavier, deeper, like he was pushing on my lungs from the inside. Images flooded my head that weren't mine. Darkness, panic, water filling a throat that couldn't scream anymore. I understood then. He wasn't drowning me. He was making me remember how he did. My chest burned, not from panic. Panic was gone, but from the wrongness of it. My body was trying to breathe, and the lake refused to let it happen. My vision narrowed until the edges went black, and the boy's face filled everything. His mouth moved without sound. I felt the words instead of hearing them. Stay. The grip on my wrist loosened, just enough to let me float a few inches upward. Hope flared automatically, stupid and animal. I kicked for the surface. The water turned violent. Something slammed in on my back and drove me down. Silt exploded around us, and I hit the lake bed hard enough to knock the air from what little was left in my lungs. Mud filled my mouth. My hands clawed at nothing. The boy was above me now, standing calmly on the bottom, toes sinking into the earth like roots. He crouched and pressed both hands against my face. My ears popped. My skull screamed. I felt water force its way into places it had no right to be. Nose, sinuses, throat, burning all the way down. My body convulsed, trying to cough, trying to vomit, trying to live. The boy leaned closer, his forehead touching mine. This time I understood the memory clearly. Adult hands pushing him under. A struggle that didn't last long. A lake that never gave him back. And now he was passing it on. I don't know how long I stayed down there. Time stopped behaving like time. My body stopped fighting first. The burning faded into a dull pressure, then into nothing at all. I remember thinking, so this is it, and feeling a strange relief that the struggle was over. That's when he let me go. I shot upward without meaning to, my body acting on reflex alone. I broke the surface, screaming water, coughing so hard my ribs felt like they'd snap. I dragged myself into the shallows and collapsed on the mud, vomiting lake water and weeds until my throat bled. Behind me, the water was calm again. Too calm. I rolled onto my side just in time to see the boy standing at the edge, inches from my face. He looked different now, less swollen, less dead. His eyes were clear. "You remember," he said. His voice sounded like mine did underwater. I tried to crawl away. My legs wouldn't respond. He reached out and touched my chest, right over my heart. Cold spread through me, deep and permanent. "Next time," he whispered, "you won't fight." When I blinked, he was gone. They found me hours later, half drowned and raving. I never told them the truth, but sometimes when I close my eyes, I feel water in my lungs again, and I know he's not finished. After the hospital, water stopped being neutral. Showers made my chest tighten. Rain sounds felt too loud, too close. I started sleeping. Sitting up because lying flat made me feel submerged. Doctors called it post-traumatic stress, gave me pills, told me to avoid the lake. That lasted 3 weeks. One night I woke up choking, lungs spasming like I'd been pulled under again. My sheets were soaked, not sweat, cold water, smelling faintly of algae. On my chest, just below my collarbone, bruises had bloomed in the shape of small fingers. The dreams got worse after that. Not memories, less than memories. Fragments, a child's panic. Burning lungs. Hands that didn't let go. I'd wake with my mouth open, trying to inhale water that wasn't there. Then I started hearing him, not crying anymore, whispering. Always when I was near sinks, bathtubs, puddles on the street. "You're ready," he'd say. "You don't panic now." I realized the truth sitting in my kitchen, staring at a glass of water that was gently rippling on its own. He didn't drown adults because he hated them. He was practicing, learning how long it takes, learning how to make the body stop fighting. And one day soon, he won't need a lake anymore. I tried to stop it. I stopped drinking water unless I had to. Ate dry food, let my lips crack, my throat bleed. I taped plastic over the sink at night. I unplugged the shower head. I moved into a motel so I wouldn't have pipes in the walls, whispering when the building settled. It didn't matter. Fate, water doesn't need permission. The first time it happened outside the lake, I was on a bus. Someone behind me opened a bottle. I heard the cap twist and my lungs seized. The boy was suddenly there, in the reflection of the window, sitting beside me, dripping onto the floor. No one else reacted. I felt his hands slide between my ribs, squeezing. I collapsed in the aisle, choking, convulsing, pulling in air that felt thick and wrong. By the time the driver stopped, he was gone. They said I'd had a panic attack. The second time, it was a man in a public bathroom. I don't know his name. I only know the boy stood behind him at the sink, watching me with that calm, patient face. The man leaned over to rinse his hands. He never came back up. I didn't push him. I didn't touch him. But the water listened to me. And somewhere inside my chest, something small and cold felt satisfied.